Hello and welcome to PlayStation Racer. My name is Mitchell Morgan and today we are back with menu book number 42. We are after the Gr.1 Protype Series results. We're on to race 2 after a mixed bag in race 1. Initially we chose the wrong car, wasted 1,000,000 credits. We then bought the right car and monstered it. So we are going to be carrying on with that car that monstered it, and that is the McLaren VGT. It is an awesome car, great in a straight line. Not overly easy through corners, but we are getting used to it. And you'll notice that I am immediately into a different view for this particular race. You'll notice that I've got the dials rather than the bonnet cam up. And that is because I do not know this track very well at all, and therefore I'm using the track map in the middle of the screen there so I can see what's coming up and gauge speed, braking points, etc. So on this particular race I am narrating after we ran the race, because obviously I was having to concentrate a lot more than normal with all of the unknowns. Now, having the track map on enables me to gauge when a corner's coming up, how tight the corner is, and then using the meter boards or those distance boards on the left hand side, it can give you a rough idea of when you need to brake for the corners. Not an exact science when you are running a track that you don't know in a new car. So again, this one really does take a lot of concentration to keep it not only going in a straight line, but to avoid overshooting corners, running into the back of people. Woohoo! A bit of a knock on that master as we went through there. We did actually manage to get that move done. But yeah, that's why I've got the this particular display. It's not a display that I particularly like, but it is a display that is favoured by a lot of people when they're doing the challenges. I tend to prefer the bonnet cam in particular for when I am videoing. So at this point, I can't remember where we started, probably 16th, but at this point we are up to 11th and we are still on lap 1. So we're now 10 out of 20, and you can see this car is absolutely monstrous down these straights, overtaking these very fast Group 1 cars. Can you do this one into this corner? Oh, another slight little nudge on the way through. I feel that I had that corner. That was my corner to be had. I think the AI turned it on me there. I'm going to claim that one. Taking loads of curve through there, trying to get on the back of Bishop in front of us. Watching also where the car in front is braking to gauge where we might be able to brake. Bearing in mind the AI is set to hard at the moment, and they very often brake early into the corner or midway through the corner. So although you're watching for where the cars are braking, sometimes you can just brake that little bit later and carry just that little bit more speed through the corner. Oh, just caught the wall there, moving over it again, not really knowing this track, caught the wall there as well. You'll notice that when I'm following cars, I tend to find it much easier to gauge turnings and things like that. When you are out in front like this, especially when we're chasing down the cars in front, bearing in mind the leader is now 8 seconds ahead, and Wong ahead of us is over 5 seconds ahead. I tend to find when I'm out in front, I tend to push too hard, and then I tend to run a little bit too deep and or catch barriers, just going a little bit wide. Sometimes I need to learn just to rein it in a little bit and just take it a little bit slower to go that little bit quicker, especially whilst we are learning the track. Now, looking at the little map up in the top right hand corner, it looks like the cars in front aren't necessarily getting away from us. They are all there or thereabouts, which is good news. But we are still 9.5 seconds. In fact, the leader's going away from us at this point. and we're only making very small inroads into the car in front. So we are going to need to get the measure of this McLaren very quickly on this track, and also get the measure of the track so that we can get our speed up significantly. I did actually manage to build my speed through that little complex leading down to the bridge. If you are brave and very daring, then you can carry quite a lot of speed down through there and then burn that speed off before you get to run over the top of the bridge. But for now, we're just continuing to work on trying to get on terms with the cars in front. You'll notice that we've got the gap to the car in front down to 3 seconds at this point, but the leader is now 12 seconds ahead of us, and that is quite something to make up. We have got 8 laps total in this race. We're on lap 2 at the moment, so we've still got quite a fair old way to go. But at this point, I'm thinking that I really need to get to grips with not only the track but the car, and to try and carry more speed through these corners and close that gap to the leaders. Certainly looking at the mini map in the top right hand corner, that leader is definitely getting away from the pack, whereas the 5th, 4th, 3rd and 2nd cars putting it on the grass is not going to help Mitchell. That's enabling Mayazono to get away from us, assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly, and I apologise if my pronunciations of names isn't very good, but that enabled the 5th place driver to get away from us, and now we've got to start to close that down. Now that's interesting in that the 5th place car has just come into the pits. We've just started lap number 3 and we're coming up for halfway through the fuel. So at this point, I remember thinking, yeah, do we need to preserve fuel? Do we just need to continue to push? Are the cars in front going to have to come in, or can we just keep running and then just do a quick pit stop? The tyres don't look too bad at this stage, so we do need to continue to look after those if we can. So I don't want to be doing too much sliding around at this precise moment in time. But up into 4th with the 3rd and the 2nd place cars right in front of us, although that 1st place car is running away, and we put it off the grass onto the grass and into the barrier again. It almost looks as if I was looking to see where the leader was at that point, but you'll notice now that I've come off of the track map. We've taken the fuel map down to power level 2 just to try and conserve a little bit of that fuel, although even at that level I don't think that we're going to be anywhere near running to the end of the race, and I don't want to lean it off too much, because if we do lean it off too much, then we're just not going to have the power to catch up. We could short shift, we could lift and coast. Unfortunately, all of those tactics, with Wilk now 19 seconds ahead of us, is going to be a bit of a tall order. So I'm now thinking, was the McLaren not the right car to get? Was it the right car to get? Or is it just that I don't know this track very well? Looking back and looking at this rerun, I think a lot of it is not knowing the track. I'm not apexing these corners very well. I'm overshooting a few, really haven't got braking points set in my head. And I do remember at this point I was really feeling my way around this circuit rather than racing around the circuit. So again, on that one, not really hitting the apex, center of the track, so not too deep, but not great lines through there, so that's yet more time lost. Turning in on that one was a bit better. Again, that was a bit wide, so it means we're a little bit more acute on that corner. Again, you can see all of these mid-corner adjustments are not helping, and then we're off onto the grass yet again in that same location. Tyres not too bad, we're about half worn, but you can see that now we are starting to push and slide the car around a bit. Those tyres, our racing mediums, are definitely taking a bit of punishment at the moment. So as we come up to complete lap number 3, Wilk has had to pit, so that now puts us 5 seconds off the lead, and we actually go up the inside of him at that point. I suspect he's going to be coming past us very, very, very quickly. It would be nice to keep him behind, but again, to win this race, we need to be running away from Wilk at this point. So Wong is now 5 seconds down the road. Gallo is in first place. I'm not quite sure what cars they are driving, but they are visible on track. Again, going a bit deep and getting onto the marbles into that corner is not going to help. That upsets the exit of the corner. And again, Wilk behind us is able to close up a little bit. He's on fresh rubber. I'm not. That could make a big difference too. So really trying to push this car as hard as we can right now. And again, off onto the grass. That's multiple mistakes at that corner. So getting a little bit unhappy with myself at this point, because we're not learning from these mistakes. And it was more a case of trying to push to catch the cars in front, rather than thinking about the track and where we can make a few tenths here and there. So this isn't very good. Somebody put a comment on my channel the other day, being an amateur, and he can drive better than me when he's drunk. In some respects, I think that I look like I'm a bit drunk driving this particular race. Not really hooking this car up around here at all. We have got Wilk is 2.3 seconds behind, but bear in mind that he has pitted, we haven't. We're down to quarter of a tank of fuel, and we're still only halfway through the lap, so we're definitely going to need to pit. The big question is, can we get onto the back of Wong and Gallo? Can we maybe catch them and do an overtake? Do we pit and try and undercut them? Oh, so many questions at this point. So those two cars are right there. We are catching them fairly quickly down the straight. Need to watch for the braking point, get it turned in on the apex, trying to get the power down as quickly as we can. That's pretty tight, that corner. Looks like we're catching, but looking at the timing, it doesn't really look like we're catching very quickly. Oh, no catching now. We must have had a much better corner through there. Maybe they are battling with each other. Maybe I'm just hooking it up a little bit better, getting a feel for the track now. So please refuel, refueling half a lap. So we are almost definitely going to be in on this lap, no question. We'll put a new set of boots on, probably fill the tank up completely to make sure that we can get home. Both of the cars in front are coming in. So this is now a pit stop race. So we're going for a new set of mediums, and looking at the fuel gauge there, then it looks like we are really going to need to go almost to the end of the fuel. I think I'm going to brim this, if I'm perfectly honest. It makes sense to do that. For one moment there, I didn't think they'd changed the tyres. It took a long old while for that graphic to change, but thankfully it did. So we're back onto a second set of racing mediums. Hopefully we don't have to use 2 compounds of tyres, but now we really do need to get the hammer down, because we have dropped down into 7th position. We are 23 seconds behind Wilk. I was managing to keep him behind me on the road, even with him on new tyres and me on older tyres, but whether we can close that gap at all, I haven't got a clue. So just coming the inside of that car, that's the Mazda done. Kokubun is done. Now we're chasing after Wong again. So it was Wilk, Gallo and Wong. So Miyazono and Yamanaka, hopefully they have both going to need to pit with any luck. If that is the case, then that still only puts us into 4th, which is not going to be enough. We need to be 3rd or higher realistically. So we are going to need to absolutely push. This is this section I love down there. Just getting it slowed down over the top of the bridge, just on the marbles a little bit there. Coming down off the end of the bridge, I tend to use those white triangles on the ground to slow down. So there, hit the brakes, get it buried, turned in, 2nd gear over the curb, getting the power as quick as we can. Up into 3rd, 4th, up into 5th, to come around this corner, just balancing the brake and the accelerator so you don't run into those blue and white bollards on the left hand side. Up into 6th gear now. We can see the cars in front, 2.7, 2.6, 2.5. I've got the luxury of narrating afterwards so I can look at the times when we're racing. It really is just a case of keeping an eye on the cars in front, watching for where we might be able to pick up a slipstream. Right now we are right on the back of those cars, a little bit deep. To get out of that, that's going to cost us a little bit. Pushes the time back out to 2 seconds, 1.9, 1.8, 1.7, so we're catching through here. Really need to be fully committed. 2 wheels on the grass, managed to hold that. I don't think that cost us too much time. Again, 2 wheels on the grass. Got that one turned in really nicely. 1.2, can we get on the back of this? 3 cars here now. This is 5th, 4th and 3rd place, all there to be had. That's Yamaha, Wong and Gallo up the inside of that car on the grass again, spitting up dirt from the car in front. We've got the legs on these two. Can we get past Gallo as well as we get into there? Yes, the Nissan is done. So that puts us into 3rd place. A kiss of the barrier on the way through. Bits of the car falling off. Down to 2nd gear, turning in for this corner. Still not really getting that perfect. Way too much in the middle of the track and far too acute on the turning. Looking at my Ozono now, 2.4 seconds ahead. Catching all the time as you come into this corner, we can get under 2 seconds. Noticeably closer. Apex in the corner, getting the power down as soon as we can. Coming across to the right hand side to turn it in across this apex. We didn't make the apex, that's a little bit deep. That's going to have given the car in front just a little bit of extra. Can we get him under braking into here? Yes, we can. Oh, a bit of a bang of doors. A late lunge. But we did get the McLaren done. Was it clean? Arguably not. That was a very, very late lunge. He should probably be seeing me coming and giving me room rather than turning in. But we did manage to get that move done. So now up into 2nd. And we are now chasing down Wilk. We're on lap 6 of 8. Wilk is 2.2, 2.4, 2.5 seconds ahead. Sorry, 22.5. There's so much going on, I can't even look at the numbers now. 22.1. There are places where we are catching him. There are places where he's going away. I think it is fairly net even. And we really need to be pulling those numbers down significantly. So turning in 2nd gear, watching the apex, getting back on the power as quick as we can. Up to 3rd, up to 4th, up to 5th. Do we go 5th through here? We'll stay in 4th. Staying in 4th to keep it out of the wall, obviously. Don't want to hit that barrier on the way out. Now up to 5th. 21.0. I think it's just, he's too far away. Unless he has to dial down his fuel map, I think that we are going to need to work on keeping 2nd. We've dropped Gallo by 8 seconds behind us. I've dropped the fuel map down to 2 as a precaution. Maybe we should have left it on power setting 1. I think that might have been a mistake. We'll have a look and see what fuel we've got left at the end of the race. But I think I should have been a bit braver and pushed the fuel map up to 1. Maybe use short shifting and a little bit of lift and coasting if needed. The tyres look okay at this point. Wilk is in for another pit stop. That is great news. Can we get around to the pit before he comes out? Almost definitely not, because he is so far ahead of us. Oh, we've gone wide on there. And, oh, this is awful. That's done that. That's given Wilk the ability to come out. So I think I was probably thinking the same as I was talking there. Just giving it everything at the end to try and close that gap, and I don't think it was really on. I think Wilk was always going to come out in front of us, but we have managed to close that gap down to 11, nearly 12 seconds now. That's an awful long way to go with 2 laps to run. Also, Gallo has closed significantly on us now, down to 4 seconds, so all going a bit deep there as well, trying too hard at this point. At this point, we need to maintain the gap to the cars behind. Most importantly, second would be better than having a spin at this point and coming in 5th or 6th. We need to think about getting this menu book done, which I think was 3rd or higher. So at the moment we are in a position where we would be completing the menu book. However, the racer in me is saying I want that win, and it's now out to nearly 13 seconds. So Wilk is actually pulling away from us. Our tyres are now about halfway worn. Really, I need to be thinking about just bringing this home again, getting it deep into that corner and on the marbles. You can see the marbles that these cars are leaving around the track, and you can see how often I'm running out onto those. That's not helping me at all. Again, on the marbles into the bridge, cannot be helping our performance at all, and really I am suffering from not really knowing this car, not really knowing this track at all. That was a slightly better turn-in over there. So we come down to this right-hander coming up through the gears into 4th, 5th, leaving it in 5th as we come around here, just dropping it down into 4th so we don't run too wide into the barrier, up into 5th, getting it up into 6th as we run down the hill. We can see that Wilk is right at the end of this straight. The cars behind are on the straight as well. We've pushed the gap behind us out to nearly 8 seconds. But now we get into this section where we need to keep this clean. We need to get it turned in over the apex. Still a little bit deep through there. We need to apex this as we come up through the gears. Letting it drift out to the right, to the left, back out to the right, drift across to the left again. 8 seconds to the gap behind. That is nice, but 11, 12 seconds to the car in front. Whoa, and we're going around. No, that is seriously what we didn't need to do. That is going to have thrown away the win, which was never really on the cards. I should have settled for 2nd place. Now Gallo is less than a second behind. Complete pressure put on myself now through a stupid mistake. I should have settled for 2nd place, but no, we had to keep pushing. And as we go into the last lap, we have now got it all to do again. Gallo is just 1 second behind. One more mistake and this could be all over. Can I bring this home in 2nd place? Going too deep again, having to lose so much speed through that corner. That's enabling Gallo, and Wong is right there as well, but enabling Gallo to get back at us. Just got the gap out to 1 second at the moment. Tyres are looking a little bit tired, but okay for the moment. You can see we're going too deep again into that corner. You can see our lap times. We were at 3:04 and 3:06, now down to 3:15. This is how much time that we are losing. Panic is setting in right now. We have managed to get the gap out to 1.4, which means hopefully any slipstream would be broken. However, they do have the ability to bump draft each other to catch up with me, so this is far from over. Wilk is just gone now, 28 seconds ahead. We've just got to keep this tidy through here. So down into 4th gear for this corner. You'll notice that the game is screaming at me to choose different gears. So that's choosing 2nd, but I'm preferring 3rd. Up into 4th through here, up into 5th. Snatching 6 as we go across that curve, burying it down through the brakes, through the gears, really deep through there again, trying to leave my braking as late as possible, and it was too late. These tyres are definitely feeling their age now, and Gallo is right back on the back of us. 0.2 seconds looking in the mirror, he is right there. Watching for our braking point, we're normally pretty good through here. This is where we can normally make up just a little bit of time, but just look at those tyres. That near side rear, the left-hand rear tyre, is almost gone, and we're leaning on it all the time through these corners. The gap to the cars behind now out to 0.08. Is that going to be enough on this last closing section of this race? 1.2 right now. We can forget about A-Work. He's done. He's finished. This is all about, can we bring this home in second place? This is not an example of a good race by any stretch of the imagination. This is an example of an amateur driver in a fast car on a track that he doesn't know, and just fighting, absolutely fighting to try and bring this home. Don't need to worry about the fuel. We've got half a lap of fuel left, but we've got less than half a lap. We've got this corner, we've got this next corner, which we're going to need to be miting through. Can we keep Gallo behind over that curve? Yes, we can. It's actually a second ahead of Gallo behind us, but look at that, 35 seconds to the car in front. What on earth is Wilk driving? A hybrid VGT, stonkingly quick car. Maybe that's the one that we should have bought. We went for the McLaren. I'm enjoying the McLaren, and at least we have managed to get our second stamp for the Group 1 prototype. Not going to worry about the replay, completely shattered. I'm actually now going to take a break before we come back to do the third and final run in this particular menu book. That one took a lot out of me, and I remember just thinking I just need a break. So where are we heading off to? We're heading off to Asia. It is to Suzuka, a track that we know and love. The McLaren could be pretty good through here with the twists and the turns. We've got some very fast straights, so why not hit that subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the bell button for notifications of when I'm back with that video, and join me for that race and see if I can bring home the third of the 3 stamps for this menu book number 42. Look forward to seeing you then. For now, take care. Bye bye.